Hi out there in the YouTube world, it is me, the Puzzle Master, and in this video we're going to be going over number 13, which is Hasta. And Hasta is completely in Virgo, okay? So it is an earth sign, which is about, the earth, very practical, very physical oriented. It's mutable, meaning that it has the ability to change. And it is ruled by Mercury. That is when we just look at, the segment of the sky, which is Virgo. But we're in this segment, we're going to be zooming in and looking at a little more detail. What makes Hasta a little different? Well, we want to know that the ancient Vedic people considered their nature to be a merchant or business class oriented. So they're very much going to be people person oriented. A merchant, able to communicate. They are ruled by Mercury, so in all ways and manners of forms, they will be able to communicate that to the world, whatever their job outlet may be. Their nature is diva or godlike, so they do have the inner need to help. They want to do good. They want to accomplish, and it is for good means. Like, they often don't have that kind of malefic influence. They have good intent, even though it might come off not so much that way in reality, because Virgo is also known to be the critic, and no one really likes to be criticized. So life lesson is just to kind of like learn to work on abilities of expressing yourself without hurting the feelings of others, but yet still getting your opinion and feelings across. Very important. The ruler is the moon. Okay, so the moon is normally very nurturing, caring, giving. It's the divine mother. So now we combine this, the moon rulership, with Mercury, which is about communication and, bridging the border between your inner realm and other people's realms. Well, then that's when you get Hasta. And what is its symbol? Well, its symbol is the hand. Not just a hand, it can be represented also as a clenched fist, or also as a potter's wheel. Can't really do that, but a potter's wheel. So like they're making pottery, on like and then it goes into the kiln. But yes, the main ideas are they have power to rule or control others for their higher purposes. They have the ultimate discrimination power and resolution to bring people or circumstances under their control. They are materializing of desperate forces or energy. So, because they are great healers, they can often use situations that are quite negative and transform them and transmute them into a positive aspect through their consciousness, which they simply love that because it imparts information from their world, the god of Mercury in Virgo, with the moon, which rules this sign, which is the mind, into the world around them. And that's done through your hands. That's done through your actions. And yes, when it comes to traits that are associated with them, they are obsessed with timekeeping and schedules. They are very cooperative if they benefit from the situation. They do not trust easily of others. And why is this? Because they themselves are very manipulative and kind of cunning. And even though it is for the greater good, and they know that, they kind of think that everyone else thinks that way. So it biases the situation where their viewpoint can be held at the highest esteem in their mind, and your viewpoint is lesser or lower. Because they are of benefic energy. They're simply trying to impart their heart's information to you. But sometimes it isn't necessarily done in the right way, because it's in Virgo, which is the critic, right? They are very organized, and aware of how the little things in the world add up to change our whole world. And because of their timekeeping abilities, and they like to have notes, and like those sticky notes, they love those. And it's all about keeping order and structure in the world, because this is under Virgo ultimately, which is an earth sign. And then we combine that with the moon. So in many ways, they're trying to bridge the inner mind with the physical world. And they're very, 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 very good at doing so. So they just try to offer their opinions and advice and help to others. They are very good homekeepers and extremely creative. They are very detail-oriented and critical of others for not being so organized, because they themselves are. So they're just like, why are you not all like getting your crap together? Like, I'm awesome and creative and am able to do all this timekeeping stuff. But you know what? This is a message for people who are in this sign. Hasta. Learn that not everyone thinks like you. So yeah, that might work for you, but it doesn't work for everybody. And if you can communicate that in a way that is loving and understanding, your advice might actually be really, really optimal and advantageous for those people. But if it is portrayed or offered in a negative or critical way, no one wants to be criticized, right? You yourself don't want that, so keep that in mind. And if you're dating someone that has Hasta, know that it's just in their nature to be kind of critical, to be a little of the world when it comes to the materiality aspect of it, and they're simply looking out for the best interest in you. So, yes, when it comes to their appearance, Virgos, especially the sign of Hasta, they tend to have very plain faces, so not really one to stand from a crowd. It's Virgo. And, like they're the ones that go into the field, they're very knowledgeable, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to have, like, they already know that kind of stuff. And so in their inner mind, they're not very necessarily open to being like, so curious of the world. So since they have that inner knowing in the world, they tend to be the critic. It kind of, this emotion tends to be portrayed very much so in their physical embodiment, especially if they have their ascendant, their sun, or their moon there. It's going to amplify those traits even more. They tend to have like very little expression on their face. So even though they might be talking in an extreme manner, very verbal because they are ruled by Mercury, then they might not necessarily show a lot of expression on their face, which at times might kind of leave you wondering exactly what they are trying to portray. But that's just how things are with them. They like to laugh a lot, because even if we go to the mythology in their name, it Hasta actually translates. Hasta means to laugh. So they're very laughable and social, because they have that merchant quality, as I mentioned earlier. In their class, they are merchant. So very social. Their emotions can be very contained, refined, almost suppressed, to the point, not necessarily where it's detrimental to them, but where, because everything is so analytical and classified, they can have problems expressing themselves, because they've developed this rigid structure where it might not necessarily be so easy to express feelings in that structure that they've created. But yes, I hope that this video has been informative and helpful. And if you are dating a Hasta, or you are a Hasta, just know that Hasta is very, as I have explained in the video, they tend to be like the critics, and they are ultimately just trying to do good because they have benefic intent, and they're merchant, so they're very talkative, and they're helpful, and being benefic, a lot of the things that they do are actually for the greater good. They've They weigh things out in their mind. Not like a Libra, like a Hasta, which is ruled by the hand. So, if they have the ability to help, of course they're going to do so. But at the same time, if you don't want their help, then you could become in a struggle because they're going to want to. But, mwah, I hope this video has been beneficial, and I'll see you in future videos.